Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. We'll be right back to the show. But before we do, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, factormeals.com, where if you go to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50, you can get 50% off your first order. That's factormeals.com/unbroken50. If you're like me and you are a person who is busy trying to create a life, heal, work on their health, wealth, and relationships, and not to mention deal with the day-to-days of normal life, you do not have time to be going to the grocery store and trying to figure out what you're going to cook every single day of the week. In fact, one time I did the math and I realized I was spending over 15 hours a week at the grocery store and cooking. When I added Factor, I got to use that time for myself, for my family, for my friends, for my community, and for my business. And so if you're in the place where you need some more support in the kitchen, head to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50 to get 50% off. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. Welcome to the Michael Unbroken Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anthony. And my goal is to give you actionable and practical skills to help you understand your past, get out of the vortex, and become the hero of your own story. This podcast is sponsored by thinkunbroken.com, where you can find resources for adult survivors of child abuse. Now, let's get into the show. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Michael Unbroken Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anthony, and my goal with this show is to give you as much value as I can in 10 minutes or less. Kind of like Domino's, but without pizza. So I've been thinking about something really important over the course of the last couple of days, and that is ownership, and why ownership is such an important facet in the trauma healing journey. When you go back and look at your entire life, what is one thing that is probably missing? Ownership. Are you showing up for yourself? Are you being responsible for the person that you want to be? Are you stepping into owning your health, your life, your mental, emotional, physical well-being? Are you owning your daily practices? Are you owning your hobbies? Are you owning all the things that make you who you are? Most importantly, are you owning your trauma? Are you owning your past? Are you saying, you know what? Yes, these things happened to me. Acknowledging trauma, acknowledging the things that happen, even though it fucking sucks. Like, guys, let's admit it. There's no question that one of the hardest things that we will ever do is say, yeah, I got hurt by somebody. Someone took my innocence. They stole my life. They hurt me. They did bad things to me. That is so hard. That is so difficult. And you know what? I first off want to commend you if you are a person who is stepping up and committing to owning your past. And if you're not, I want to challenge you to stepping up, to committing to owning your past. And here's why. Because if we are the stories that we tell ourselves, which I think we can agree with that being true, if that is the case, and we are the stories that we tell ourselves, and we are always telling ourselves that nothing happened, nothing hurt me, I'm invincible, I'm invulnerable, but yet we have all of these addictions that we can't seem to understand where they come from. We can't understand why we watch porn for 5 hours a day. We can't understand why we eat double cheeseburgers from McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We can't understand why we smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day. We can't understand why we yell at our partner, yell at our children, hurt ourselves, lie to ourselves, look in the mirror and deny who we really are. That's an ownership. And the thing about ownership, it's not about saying, oh, you know what, I did bad things, I'm a bad person. That's not what it's about at all. It's about acknowledging exactly who you are. And your trauma, unfortunately, even though I think we can agree, again, that no one wants to be like, oh yeah, I got hurt, great, yeehaw. Like, yeehaw, I guess I'm hillbilly today. That's the Indiana in me, guys. So even though we go, I don't want to acknowledge this pain, I think that it's a must. I think that you have to, because it gives you a baseline for you to understand and know where you're going to grow from that point. And so if you've been hurt, if you've suffered and experienced trauma, and you say, yes, these things are true of me, of my life, of my experience, of my past, that gives you precedent to measure against for growth. Now, how do you measure growth of trauma? I think that's a really important question. And I think there's quite a few ways that you can do it. First and foremost is, what are you doing now in your healing journey? Are you a person that has suffered severe trauma and you are not showing up for yourself? You're not going to a therapist, you're not meditating, you're not doing journaling, you're not going to yoga, you're not hitting the gym, you're not doing all these things. If you are not person, well, then that gives you a huge baseline for what you can do, okay? So think about it like this. Let's say that you've not done any of these things. You've not acknowledged your trauma. You're in a spiral. You're in the vortex. What can you do about that? Well, you can start researching. Okay, how do I acknowledge trauma? How do I learn more about my past? How do I educate myself about healing modalities? How do I start practicing these healing modalities? How do I find a therapist? How do I find a coach? How do I find a support group? How do I find a network? How do I find so on and so forth? So once you know, okay, give you an example. Let's say you suffered severe childhood trauma in something specific, and let's say it was sexual abuse. Well, maybe that is the justification and causation of the sexual deviant behaviors that you have as an adult. For myself, that manifested in a lot of anonymous sex, unprotected sex, like doing crazy shit that I look back now on and I go, I cannot believe that I did those things. Because the abuse kind of set the precedent for what was going to be my future, right? When I decided to own that and say, you know what, yes, I was sexually abused as a child, which is really hard, especially as a man, and especially as a minority man in America, where communities look at you and they go, oh, you're going to share that? Oh, you're a sissy, you're a punk, you're a pussy, blah, blah. I go, okay, that's fine. That is your opinion of me. That does not impact me. And it did at points. I'm not going to say it never did, but you also go, okay, fine, it does, but I don't let it have power on me. We're going to move forward. We're going to move through it. But in understanding my own sexual abuse, I was able to then look at the causation of the look at it as the causation of the behaviors that I was having. So why am I going out to clubs and hooking up with strangers? Why am I using the internet to hook up with strangers? I'm going to share a story actually I've never shared publicly before. I've never had a nickname in my life. Ever, even through sports, as a kid, on teams, in high school, I've never had a nickname until I was in my early 20s and I was living with a group of my best guy friends. And one of them was like, your new nickname is MySpace whore. Now, if you remember MySpace, you might know it's a social networking platform much like Facebook. And during the height of MySpace, I would find so many different people that I could hook up with that eventually I was having a different woman come into my house 2-3 times a day, right? Not realizing that action, what I was doing was all predicated on the hurt that I had experienced. And so I take that knowledge, I take that information, looking back, setting the baseline, going, okay, I have to acknowledge that I was sexually abused. I have to acknowledge that that hurt has beget me hurting other people, right? Through being unsafe, through poor practices, through being a liar, through all these different things. But it also gave me the baseline for what I heal from, right? And obviously, my story is very deep and there's a lot more to it. But okay, so if that is my past, knowing that it was childhood sexual abuse, then what do I need to do? This is where education comes in. This is where research comes in. This is where owning your past can turn into owning and creating a future. So I look at it and I acknowledge the fact that I was hurt sexually and I was acting in those deviant ways. Not that it's good or bad. Look, I'm not condemning or condoning sexual behaviors in either way. We all have our things. I'm just only speaking to what my experience was, knowing that I did some shit that is regrettable, to say the least. Let's call it a learning lesson. And so I take that knowledge, I take that information, and now I need to go, okay, how can I find support for this to heal through this process? Okay, what can I do? I can find a therapist who deals with childhood sexual abuse. I can find childhood sexual abuse networking. I don't want to say groups, but support groups, right? Online groups, support systems. I can read books about childhood sexual abuse. I can journal about my childhood sexual abuse. I can meditate on healing my inner child and understanding that abuse and why it has manifested and turned me into the person that I am. And then what happens is slowly over time, years perhaps in my case, my sexual relationships are so much different as an adult, right? And celibacy is a big part of my life. And connection is a big part of my life. And being kind to my body is a part of my life. Because looking back at the abuse I suffered as a child, well, in my 20s, I was just abusing myself again, right? Because abuse begets abuse. And so ownership, my point, the thing that I'm getting to is if you own your past, if you take the time to understand and really sit with the things that happened to you, you can use that as a catalyst to create your future. So you can go, okay, yes, I was hurt this way. So what modalities, what practices, what options do I have to step into healing that, owning that, and using that to create my story? So guys, I hope that this helped you. I hope that this podcast is something that will bring you value today. Please, let's have a conversation about this. You can hit me up on Instagram at Michael Unbroken. You can check me out at thinkunbroken.com. You can check out the first chapter of my book, Think Unbroken, Understanding and Overcoming Childhood Trauma, for free at thinkunbroken.com/chapter1. And also, I'm about to launch the Think Unbroken Academy. I'm not going to give you too many secrets right now. I'm super excited about it, but it's going to be the one-of-a-kind trauma healing 20-week workshop. So guys, stay tuned for that. And until next time, my friends, be unbroken. See ya. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of live coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program.